let's imagine that you have an opportunity of a lifetime to go across country with your friend, your best friend, for about a 3-week trip, just a car drive. And you get in the car and you start down. There's beautiful mountains, there's the scenery and great conversations in the car, but you all are on, one person, the other person's driving of course, but the other person's on their phone. So 3 hours down the road, that passenger has scrolled through Facebook, watched YouTube videos, texted their friends back home. So when you get to your destination, what did you experience and what great conversations did you have with your friend? It seems like technology has taken over our time and our thoughts. So what I want to talk about today is the negative effects of too much screen time. It can affect us socially and mentally and physically. So what is screen time? Screen time is exactly what it says. It's time spent on a screen. It can be a TV, an iPad, it can be a smartphone, gaming systems, your computer, and not all screen time is bad. Don't misunderstand me on that. There's a lot of good screen time. It's educational. It can help with doing things timely, and but why are we on the screen? We're on the screen because of work. Maybe you've got a desk job, you have to be on your screen. School, you're writing papers and research. The other reason we're on our screens is because of pleasure. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is spending that too much time on the screen. So according to CNN, average Americans spend 10 hours, this is kind of shocking to me, 10 hours and 39 minutes a day staring at a screen. And 5 hours of that is on a smartphone. So our next screen. Okay, here we go. Are just some statistics of social media. And I won't read through all these, I'll just highlight some. 79% of Americans are internet users. 68% of adults, based on total population, are on Facebook. And a shocking one is, according to Statistica.com, Facebook has 2.23 billion active users in 2018. And so here's the most popular social media sites. Facebook, of course, is in the lead, and then YouTube right after that, and then Instagram. I think a lot of you all are familiar with those top. I bet every one of us uses those social media sites. So, like I said, my focus today is on the negative effects of too much screen time. So the main negative effect is the physical effects. The first one, sleep problems. I think a lot of people have sleep problems because they look at their phones and they see bad news or news that may not settle right with them. They may be jealous of someone. There's a lot of drama on Facebook, or just news in general, factual news that may be upsetting to us. Political sites, that just adds added anxiety that makes us very hard to go to sleep. And the blue light from the phone suppresses the melatonin, that hinders us from going to sleep. And another physical effect is obesity, which is directly linked to a sedentary lifestyle of looking at our screen. We're not getting enough exercise, and it's directly linked to high blood pressure, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. It causes stiffness in the neck and fingers, and your head weighs approximately 10 pounds, so if you've got that weight on your head and your spine and you're constantly looking down, and the stiffness in your fingers, it plays a toll through a lifetime of that. And when you're using your fingers, even typing on your phone, you can get carpal tunnel and possibly have surgery if effects don't go away, or they are painful. And eye strain causes headaches and fatigue when you use your eyes too much, and the best thing for that is to take 20-minute breaks, because when you're on the computer, it doesn't, or at work, it's hard, you just can't stop being on the computer, but you can take small breaks. A new thing, which I had never heard of, is pedestrianitis, which is fatalities while texting and walking. That seems to be a big thing. The people on their phones driving has gotten better, but now it's people walking. 6,000 people died last year from texting and walking because they don't pay attention. They walk out in crosswalks and they don't know where they're at. They expect people to stop for them, and there's a lot of fatalities that way. And auto accidents, 1.6 million crashes annually because of cell phones. So there's a lot of physical effects. Another effect is social effects. And I'll briefly go over this. It causes relationship problems and isolation from friends and family. And a lot of times when people normally have social problems, they like to just isolate themselves, and it's easier to just stay at home, not be around people, and entertain themselves with Netflix or games or whatever. What happens is when you stay at home and you do that, then you lose those social skills. So then it's hard for you to get back out. So the best, more comfortable thing for people to do is just stay at home. So, which leads into my next point, mental effects. You can get depressed this way from not being around other people. Mental effects, social network of Facebook has been linked to undesirable mental health issues. For instance, depression, low self-esteem, and jealousy. Now, I'm not saying Facebook causes depression, but they do go hand in hand. Another thing is that too much screen time scientifically has proven it actually changes the shape and the structure of your brain. They've done a side-by-side CT scans of your brain. The gray matter of your brain is the frontal lobe, and what happens is that shrinks. So this is the part of the brain that organizes, prioritizes, and has impulse control. Another part of the brain that they have found interesting is there's a part of the brain called insula, and it controls empathy and compassion. So they're actually linking that to maybe some violence in schools. People are on their phones so much that that part of the brain is compromised. Another part of the brain, white matter, is the part of the brain that it's like wiring in your brain that misfires and it's not reaching the other parts of your brains. That part it's losing that when you're addicted to gaming or internet, overuse of internet. And then one more part of the brain is the reduced cortical thickness is thinned out. It's the outer layer of your brain is actually thinner because of the addiction of cell phone use and internet and gaming. So there's a lot of physical effects. And then one reason why people are addicted is because when you check notifications on your phone, I did not know this, but you get bursts of dopamine. Every time you check your phone and you get a notification, you get a burst of dopamine and it makes you happy. That's what keeps us checking our phones constantly. People will check them like multiple times an hour. So that's what causes that addiction to your phone. I just want to close with a brief, I think it's funny. You all have been around phones or technology all your life. I have, and the professor here have been a part of no technology and a part of technology. So we kind of have experienced both ways. When I was in school 25 years ago, on my first day of school, we came in and sat down and we, talked to each other, like, where are you from? What's your major? And, where's your dorm? What dorm are you staying in? And, we had a chit chat. Well, this was my first semester back this year, and it was quite different. I walked in ready to talk to some people, And I looked around and every single person, I wanted to take a picture because it was so funny, but everybody was on their phone. And I could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet in that class. So it's a lot different. If technology, I look around and I see everybody on their phones and walking. So it's a lot different. It's just a different age now. But I just want you to know that there is a thing with too much screen time. I think it can be great if it's balanced. But I want to close with this little comic that I thought was funny. If I can get to it. And this is how I feel when I'm at school. Everybody walking around with their cell phones, and it's, you know, everybody. But anyway, I hope you all learned something like I did about too much screen time.
Okay, all right, good.
And I don't know how to get this out. I have to eject it on mine. Do I have to do that on this, or do I just pull it out? Okay.
You can click exit.
Yeah, wait just a second until Kristina gets her life settled here.
Okay, now how do you get this out? Do you have to eject it, or just pull it out?
Just pull it.
Okay.
Should. Yep. Okay.
I was just going
Wait,
to
stay.
say,
Oh, I'm sorry.
what do you think one great way to, I guess, balance the amount of screen time you have per day, or like decrease the amount? You said it was 10 hours, so how can we get that?
Well, I think a lot of times when...
Repeat the question.
Oh, what? Oh, he's wanting to know how would be a good way to balance your screen time. If it's 10 hours a day, how can we balance that better? I think we need to concentrate on having screen time when it's necessary. I think when you're with friends and like I've gone out to eat and I see a bunch of people around a table and they're all on their cell phones, and I'm like, enjoy being with each other and talk, you know. But Apple did have this new update that now every week you see how much screen time you have on your phone, but that doesn't necessarily how much you have on your laptop, you know, with your studies and work and all that. But it does at least gauge what you spend on your phone, which is, I think, handy. Does that answer your question?